Lesson 5.3 is all about inequality. So after today's lesson, you are going to know how to write and solve and graph inequalities. So you should pause this video and work on the warm-ups. Then when you're done, unpause and I'll walk you through them. For number 1, we have 7.5 plus n equals 2.7n minus 1. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get those n's to one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract n from both sides. I'm left with 7.5 equals, and then 2.7n minus 1n is going to leave me with 1.7n minus 1. I then want to get rid of that constant. So I have a minus 1. The inverse operation is to add 1. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Should have lined up my decimals there, but that's all right. We have 8.5 equals 1.7n. Then I have 1.7 times n. I want to get n by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1.7. You should have done the math there and gotten n equals 5. N equals 5. Number 2, an art studio charges $8 a day plus a membership fee of $15. Another studio charges $5 a day plus a membership fee of $24. After how many days of studio use will the cost of both studios be the same? So we're going to set these studio prices to equal each other. We know that Studio 1 charges $8 a day plus a fee of $15. The other studio charges $5 a day plus a membership fee of $24. So fee of $15, that's going to stay the same, plus $8 per day, we're going to write that as 8x, equals, then the second one, the fee is $24 plus $5 a day, 5x. You're then going to get all the x's to one side, so I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. I'm going to get 15 plus 3x equals 24. I'm then trying to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. And I'm left with 3x equals 9. Right now we have 3 times x, so the inverse operation is to divide. And you should have been left with x equals 3. And it's asking us, after how many days of studio use will the cost of both studios be the same? Your answer would be 3 days. All right, some vocab. You should pause this and write it down after I explain. An inequality is a statement formed by placing an inequality symbol, so less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, between two expressions. So, for example, you would read this as y plus 5 is less than 6. A solution to an inequality is the set of all numbers that produces a true statement when substituted for the variable. So, for example, x is less than 3. Well, all numbers less than 3 are a solution. For example, 0 is less than 3. That's true. 1 is less than 3. That's true. So pause and write that down. Concept summary chart. You should also copy this down in your notes after I explain. So inequalities. Our first symbol, less than. It's also read as fewer than. Second symbol, greater than, is more than or exceeds. The third symbol is less than or equal to, is no more than, is at most. And the fourth symbol is greater than or equal to, is no less than, is at least. So between does not include the values and does not use the equal sign. Pause and write that chart down. All right, practicing. Your height is greater than 52 inches. So your height is going to be x. We know it's greater than, and we have 52 inches. So x is greater than 52. So for example, if your height was 60 inches, that would be true. 60 is greater than 52. Your speed is x, is less than or equal to 62 miles per hour. So when we have that or equal to, we put a line under the less than or greater than symbol. So we get x is less than or equal to 62. Writing inequality. These are a little bit challenging, but that's all right, we can do it. You need to hem a pair of pants. You are to shorten them at least ½ inch and no more than 3/4 inches. So our pair of pants is going to be x. You need to hem them at least ½ inch. So we know back up on our chart, at least is represented by greater than or equal to. So x is going to be greater than or equal to ½ inch. And x can be no more than 3/4 inches. So we're going to go back to our chart. No more than is represented right here in less than or equal to. So x is less than or equal to 3/4. So right now we have two separate inequalities. We want to make this into one. So this is how you write it. We're going to say 1/2 is less than or equal to x, so I flip that around, and x is less than or equal to 3/4. So we're shortening them at least ½ inch and no more than 3/4 inches. So x is going to be less than or equal to 3/4. It's going to be greater than or equal to 1/2. So it's going to be somewhere in between there. Your family needs 2 gallons of water this week, but you want to buy less than 8 gallons. Write an inequality representing the possible gallons of water you could buy. So family needs 2 gallons of water, but we want to buy less than 8 gallons. So we know our family needs, so x is going to be greater than or equal to 2. We need at least 2 gallons. And then x is going to be less than 8. We're going to buy less than 8 gallons. Then we're going to do that same thing where we kind of smush them together. So I'm going to start with 2. 2 is less than or equal to x. We're going to buy more than 2. And x is less than 8. We're going to buy less than 8 gallons. All right, inequalities. For the given value, state whether the inequality is true or false. So I want you to pause this and write it down. We have s minus 9 is less than 4 when s is 6. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to plug 6 into s, and we're going to see if this is true or false. So 6 minus 9 is less than 4. I'm going to solve this. 6 minus 9 is going to be negative 3 is less than 4. Well, negative 3 is less than 4, so that is true. For number 6, 14 is less than or equal to a over 3 plus 1 when x is 10. Or in this case, a is 10. So we're going to do 14 is less than or equal to 10 over 3 plus 1. And we're going to see if this works. So I'm going to try to get, we'll solve this here. What I want to do is, I know 10 over 3 is going to give me about 3.3 plus 1, and 14 is less than or equal to. So I get 14 is less than or equal to 4.3. Well, 14 is greater than 4.3, so that is false. All right, rules for graphing inequalities. You need to have a minimum of 2 labeled tick marks on each side of the circle. You need to remember the intervals go under the line. The circle needs to be large and easy to see if it's open or closed. and the arrow must be drawn above the number line. So you should pause the video now and write down these rules for graphing. All right, graphing solutions. When graphing inequalities, remember the following. The inequality signs of less than or greater than means the number is not included in the solution, and so the graph has an open circle. So when you have less than or greater than, you're going to have an open circle. Here's what it means. You are going to plot the number you're given, so we're given 2. If we go back up to our rules, we need to have a minimum of 2 labeled tick marks on each side. So if I go this way, I'm going to have 3 and 4. If I go this way, I'm going to have 1 and 0. Our next rule is that intervals go under, and we did that. And then the circle needs to be large and easy to see if it is open or closed. So it is going to be an open circle because y is less than 2. Here's what I do. I write it on the line. If you want to write it above, I suppose our rules say it must be above, so we'll stick with above. Circle will be above, and y is less than 2, which means our arrow is going to point this way because it includes all the solutions that are to the left of 2. So 0 is less than 2, 1 is less than 2. Negative 15 is less than 2. So we have an open circle pointing to the left. All right, the inequality signs of less than or equal to or greater than or equal to means the number is included and it should be a closed circle. So z is greater than or equal to 4. Well, I'm going to plot my number 4. I'm going to do 2 tick marks to each side. So 5, 6, 3, and 2. Well, it's going to be a closed circle because my solution is greater than or equal to 4. And we know z is greater than 4, so I'm going to draw my arrow to the right. One way you can think about this is by plugging in a number. So over here I have 6. If I plug in 6 for z, 6 is greater than or equal to 4? Yep, that works. All right, some more practice. 4 is less than or equal to x is less than 10. So we know, breaking this apart, that x is going to be greater than or equal to 4, and x is going to be less than 10. Oops, I wrote 4. 10. So I'm going to plot 4. I'm going to plot 10. And I'll plot some numbers in between. So we'll do 6, 8, and we'll plot one over here, 12, and 2. So we know x is greater than or equal to 4. So we're going to do a closed circle. And we know x is less than 10. So we're going to do an open circle at 10. And then our solutions are anywhere in between. So this doesn't have an arrow. It just has that straight line. So x could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, but it does not include 10. Give the inequality for the graph. So we know that this is an open circle, so it's going to be either less than or greater than. And our graph is going to the right. So we're going to say x is greater than 8. Because x does not include 8, but it could be 9, 10, 11, 100. X is anything greater than 8. For b, it's a closed circle, which means it's going to be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So we know that all of our values are going to be less than -1. So x is less than or equal to -1. -2 is less than -1. -4 is less than -1. So those two are our answer. So again, if it's an open circle, it's less than or greater than. If it's a closed circle, it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. All right, pause the video, write down the homework. That will be due for you, I believe, tomorrow.